It started with a single text message, just 9 words that changed everything. Please come to the wedding without your wife. No explanation, no apology, just cold, calculated exclusion, sent not even privately but in a group chat. And that was the moment I knew. I wasn't just being disrespected, I was being erased. I stared at the screen, feeling that familiar heat rising in my chest, but I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even reply. I left the group quietly. And that silence, that was the beginning of something they never saw coming. See, for years I had played the role. The reliable one, the one who always showed up, paid up, shut up. I funded nearly the entire wedding. $18,000 of my hard-earned money gone into designer centerpieces and overpriced cupcakes, all to make my little sister's dream day happen. And this is how she repaid me, by excluding my wife from the one event I helped create. But here's the thing, I'm not loud, I don't do drama. I don't scream in family group chats or threaten ultimatums. What I do is think. And when I thought about it, something shifted. Something broke loose, and that's when the idea hit me. Something quiet, poetic, unforgettable. They wanted a wedding to remember. I gave them one. But what happened next? Even I couldn't have predicted that. The day the message came, I was actually on my way to finalize the balance for the catering, $4,200, non-refundable. I got the notification while I was double-checking the invoice, a group text from my sister Sasha, my parents and a few extended family members. Nothing unusual. Until I saw it. Please come to the wedding without Nina. That was my wife. My partner of 6 years. The woman who stood by me through everything. Job losses, family emergencies, late-night calls to bail Sasha out of yet another mess. They didn't even try to explain why. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. Please come without your wife. No one else in the group questioned it, not even my parents. In fact, my mom loved the message, literally. She tapped a heart reaction on it. I stared at that screen for a long time, not because I didn't know what to do, but because part of me already knew. This wasn't new. This was the same old pattern, just more blatant this time. Nina had always been treated like an outsider. They said she was too quiet, too independent, not a family person. In reality, she just didn't put up with their manipulative games, and that made her a threat. Over the years, I had watched them exclude her from every meaningful conversation, every inside joke, every so-called family moment. But this was a step further. They weren't just sidelining her, they were erasing her, and they expected me to go along with it, to suit up, smile for the camera, and pretend like everything was fine, like I hadn't spent thousands making that day happen. I sat in the car, looked at that message again, and something inside me just clicked. I didn't text back, I didn't ask questions. I left the group chat and turned off my phone. I drove home, handed Nina the catering invoice, and told her, calmly, "We're not going." She didn't ask for details. She didn't even look surprised. Just nodded quietly, like she already knew what I was about to say. And at that moment, I decided I wasn't going to fight them anymore. I was going to let them have their picture-perfect wedding. But on my terms, I would give them exactly what they wanted, a moment to remember, just not the one they planned. Looking back, I don't even know when it started. There was never one big moment where my family said, "You owe us." It was quieter than that, more like a slow build of expectations. I was always the responsible one. Good grades, good job, no drama. So when Sasha got engaged and wanted the wedding of her dreams, it was just assumed I'd help. Not asked, assumed. And I did. I paid for the venue deposit without blinking. Covered flowers, the makeup artist, even the monogrammed napkins she swore were essential. Every time I thought, okay, this is enough, there'd be another call, another favor. And I always said yes. I told myself it was just temporary, that once the wedding was over, maybe they'd finally treat me and Nina like we mattered. But deep down I knew better. Nina had always been on the outside looking in. My mom barely acknowledged her. My dad was polite but distant. Sasha was outright cold. She once told Nina to her face that she wasn't what the family pictured for me, whatever that meant. But Nina never fought back. She never demanded respect. She just showed up, quietly, supported me, and kept her dignity, which somehow, in my family's twisted logic, made her the problem. It got to the point where family dinners felt like performance reviews. Nina's every word was scrutinized, and any boundary she set was seen as an attitude. And I let it happen. I kept telling myself to keep the peace, to not rock the boat. But the truth is I was scared that if I pushed back they'd cut me out, and I wasn't ready to face that. So I stayed in this weird middle zone, trying to be the bridge, the fixer. And with every check I wrote, every slight I ignored, I chipped away at my own self-respect. So by the time that message came, the one excluding Nina, it wasn't just about the wedding. It was about years of small betrayals. It was about watching the woman I love be disrespected over and over again, while I stood there holding the bill. That text was just the final nudge, the proof I needed that no matter how much I gave, it was never going to be enough. And maybe finally I was done trying. A week after the group chat incident, we were invited to a pre-wedding family dinner. Not by Sasha. My mom sent the invite like nothing had happened. Nina said it wasn't worth going, but I needed to see it. Not for closure, for confirmation. I needed to stop pretending this family would ever change. We showed up on time, dressed well, polite. The second we walked in, the energy shifted. Sasha looked irritated. My mom didn't even look at Nina. Marcus, our cousin, was the only one who smiled and greeted her, which in hindsight was ironic. We sat through a stiff, curated meal like a corporate meet and greet. Every topic was controlled, and then it happened. I brought a gift, a framed, restored photo of our grandparents. I thought it might actually mean something. Sasha opened. Fiat stared for 3 seconds and said, "Oh, that's sweet." The kind of voice you'd use for an ugly baby photo. No thank you, no warmth. Just set it down like a napkin, that was it. That moment snapped something clean inside me. Not anger, clarity. That photo would be the last gift I'd ever give her. I glanced at Nina, who sipped her drink with calm detachment. She didn't need a scene, she didn't need revenge, but I realized I did. Not out of hate, out of sheer exhaustion. That night, I went home and logged into the wedding cake order. I still had full access since I'd paid for the whole thing. It was originally some overdone 3-tiered fondant creation with edible pearls and sugar flowers. I left it mostly intact, with one tiny change. I called a specialty entertainment company and asked for something to pop out of the top tier. They laughed. I was serious. I wired the deposit. And that's how a full-grown party clown, face, paint, rainbow wig, red nose and all, got booked to explode out of the cake at Sasha's wedding. It was theatrical. It was ridiculous. But for once it was going to be on my terms. From what I heard, the wedding started off exactly how Sasha planned it. White linens, string quartet, Instagram-perfect lighting. The venue was this restored. Mansion with a marble staircase, giant chandeliers, the whole fantasy. She walked down the aisle like royalty. People clapped like they were at a concert. I wasn't there, obviously, but I didn't need to be. My part had already been set. In motion, it was quiet, deliberate, the kind of move that doesn't need an audience to matter, because the moment would speak for itself. The cake was scheduled for after the toasts, a dramatic reveal brought out on a rolling platform, spotlighted, like a celebrity. Sasha wanted a grand moment. She got one. According to my friend who worked at the venue and was kind enough to record the whole thing, everything went quiet when the staff wheeled in the cake. 3 tiers, flawless white, with a silver S&E topper. Everyone cheered. Phones came out. Sasha smiled like a queen. And then, it happened. The top of the cake cracked open like a magic trick. Out popped a fully costumed clown. Honking, horn waving, throwing glitter like a Vegas show. People froze. Some screamed. A few laughed nervously, thinking it was part of the act. Sasha. She lost it. Threw a bouquet at the clown. My mum gasped so loudly, someone thought she was choking. My dad stood there like he couldn't process what was in front of him. Ethan, the groom, just looked confused, totally out of sync. You could see it. The gears in his head trying to connect dots that weren't there. Was it a joke, a surprise, a warning? And that's what made it so effective. It wasn't mean. It wasn't cruel. It was just absurd enough to crack the perfect image. The wedding was supposed to be a controlled masterpiece, but in one moment, it became a circus. Literally. The clown bowed, blew kisses, threw more confetti, and walked off like a showman. Guests stood stunned. No one clapped, no one smiled. And the best part, they couldn't prove anything. I was miles away, phone off. But the silence that followed, that was loud enough. The messages started about an hour after the cake incident. Missed calls, voicemails, angry texts, some from Sasha, most from my mom. They were all variations of the same theme. How could you do this? I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The act was already done, and deep down they knew exactly who was behind it. Not because I said anything, but because I was the only one who ever pushed back, even if I did it quietly. Sasha sent me a voice note, screaming, crying, cursing. She said I ruined her wedding, that I humiliated the family. But what really struck me was how fast she made it about herself. Not a word about Nina, not a single acknowledgement of how she'd excluded the person I loved most. No reflection, just fury. And in that moment I realized how much power I'd always given them, how much of my energy had gone into making sure they were comfortable, even when I wasn't. Then came the call from my dad, calm, measured, trying, to play mediator. Let's talk this out, he said. It didn't have to go this far. But I told him very clearly that it was already far before a clown ever stepped out of a cake. It was far when they let Nina be treated like a footnote. It was far when they backed Sasha's message instead of calling it out. And I was done pretending otherwise. I told him I was stepping back, from all of it, that I didn't owe them more. Explanations, more effort, more money. He didn't yell, he just went quiet. And that silence, not angry, not disappointed, just empty, hit harder than anything. That's when I knew I'd finally broken the role they'd cast me in. I blocked the group chat, deleted numbers, told Nina we were officially done with. The performance. She didn't say I told you so, she just nodded. And that night we ordered takeout, watched dumb TV and laughed harder than we had in weeks. The weight had lifted. The show was over. The family I thought I had, the one I'd been holding up for years, didn't actually exist, and I was finally done holding on to it. About 3 days after the wedding, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Just my name, handwritten, in all caps. Inside was a stack of printed screenshots, some photocopies and a USB drive. For a second I thought it might be a prank, but then I saw Sasha's name, and Marcus's, and it all clicked. There were texts, hundreds of them. Man between Sasha and Marcus. Romantic, explicit, time-stamped from months before the wedding all the way up to the week of. Voice memos, too. In one, Sasha talked about how she was only marrying Ethan for stability, and that she'd leave him within a year. Another had her saying Marcus would get his reward soon. It was disgusting, calculated, and undeniable. I plugged in the USB and there were videos. Not just of them together, but of Sasha mocking Ethan, saying he was boring, easy to control. That, her mum thought he had the right look for wedding photos, like he was a prop. I sat there just stunned. I knew Sasha was selfish. I knew she could be cruel. But this was another level. She had turned her wedding into a business transaction. She used my money to build a lie. And Marcus, our cousin, was either completely in on it or too blind to realize he was funding her double life. I didn't hesitate. I copied everything onto another drive and went straight to Ethan. I didn't text first. Didn't ask to meet. Just showed up at his apartment, handed him the drive and said, "You deserve to know." He didn't say anything right away. Just took it, sat down, and started scrolling. His face went pale. He didn't cry. Didn't yell. Just sat there like the floor had disappeared beneath him. Before I left, he asked one question. "How long have you known?" I told him, "Since today, but I've known who she really is for a while." Then I left. No lecture, no drama. Just the truth straight in his hands. That envelope meant I still don't know who sent it, but it felt like karma, or maybe just someone else who'd finally had enough. After I handed Ethan the drive, I didn't hear from him again. Not a thank you, not a follow-up, nothing. And I didn't need one. I hadn't given him the truth for validation. I gave it because it was his. What he did with it was up to him. I figured that would be the end of it. But 2 days later, Sasha deleted her social media, every account. Gone overnight. People started messaging me, asking if I'd heard from her, if she was okay. I ignored every message. Whatever fallout was happening behind the scenes wasn't mine to fix anymore. Then came the weirdest part, the internet. Someone had recorded the cake incident from a front row table and uploaded it. No names, no context, just a video titled, "Clown Crashes Wedding," literally. It blew up, like millions of views, memes, remixes, even fan theories. People were obsessed. They called it the most elegant act of revenge ever caught on tape. I stayed quiet. No comments, no likes. Just watched it unfold from the sidelines like a ghost watching his own legend spread. Nina and I didn't talk about it much. We were focused on moving forward. I started therapy. Deleted the family chat permanently. Blocked numbers I never thought I would. And strangely, it didn't hurt like I expected. It felt like a wound closing, not one opening. Every day got a little quieter, a little lighter. And for once, I wasn't carrying someone else's expectations on my back. We started going on walks again, cooking together, laughing about little things. It felt like we'd stepped out of a fog. And the support, it came from places I never expected. Old co-workers, acquaintances, even strangers who guessed the story behind the clown. They didn't know it was me, but their comments hit home. Stuff like, "This is what happens when you push the quiet one too far." Or, "That clown cake was the scream so many of us never got to let out." Sasha faded out of public view. Ethan moved cities. Marcus deleted his LinkedIn. Meanwhile, Nina and I were still here, still standing, still sane, and for the first time in years, truly free. I used to think closure came from conversations, from apologies, admissions, reconciliations, but now I know it comes from choices. Quiet, firm, sometimes painful ones. I didn't get some grand confession from my parents. Sasha never reached out. Marcus pretended like none of it happened. And still, I felt whole. Not because they changed, but because I stopped expecting them to. The first thing I did after the dust settled was unsubscribe from every family holiday chain. Then I started therapy seriously, not to fix myself, but to understand why I kept trying to earn love that came with conditions. Each session peeled back years of guilt I didn't even know I was carrying. It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about growing up in a system where being useful was the price of being tolerated. Nina was the one who grounded me through all of it. She never said, "I told you so." She just stood by me while I rewrote the rules of my life. We talked more, we argued less. We stopped pretending things were fine when they weren't. Our home became quieter, but also stronger. We didn't have to perform for anyone anymore. One night, months later, we hosted a small dinner. Just a few friends, people who actually liked us for us. I made a toast, half joking, but also kind of real. I raised my glass and said, "To Miss Perfect, may she live happily ever after, somewhere far from here." People laughed, but not cruelly, just knowingly. Because everyone has a Sasha. Everyone knows what it's like to be the one who's expected to give and never push back. That night, after everyone left, I opened my phone and saw a new video making the rounds. A parody of the clown. Cake. This time it wasn't just about weddings. It was about reclaiming peace. People were tagging it with stories of cutting off toxic bosses, exes, and fake friends. The clown had become a symbol, not of revenge, but of boundaries, of finally saying no more. And I thought maybe it wasn't just a moment, maybe it was a movement.